you all for being here to the monthly Wine and Dine at Redwood Cafe. And we want to thank Michael and his staff for allowing us a wonderful venue to put this on every month. The fourth Tuesday of every month, although next month we're passing because that's Christmas Day and I figured you guys all had other plans. So we will pass. Tonight we're doing a special night of a little bit different. We're having readers who are in Redwood Writers read their stories from the anthology that our club puts on.
The Hunted. They held hands as they strolled along Main Street. He wore a tuxedo he picked up for $2 at the Salvation Army. She wore a red leotard, red cape, and red shoes pulled from the free box at the community center. The shopkeepers, the moms with toddlers in tow, the office workers sipping their morning joe, all averted their eyes and gave the couple a wide berth. For his feet were bare and hairy, and his head shone with silver wolf's fur. His fangs gleamed in the sunlight when he smiled at his companion. Her face was obscured by the crimson cape's hood. The two reached the end of Main Street and turned left onto a path that led to the woods as a man in mud-splattered jeans, rumpled flannel shirt, and baseball cap wobbled out of a corner bar. Seeing the wolf and girl walking into the woods, he stumbled to his truck, grabbed a shotgun, and trundled off in pursuit. 5 days later, his body was found floating in the river that rippled through the woods. The word on the street was that the town drunk must have lost his footing, slipped into the water, and hit his head on a boulder near the bank. Meanwhile, the couple who had strolled down Main Street sat in their cabin deep in the woods. They looked like an ordinary man and woman, long accustomed to each other's company, as they played gin rummy and stole admiring glances at the shotgun mounted above their front door. Next author is Laura Black, reading Only a Paper Moon.
Can you hear me? I'm going to dedicate this to insomniacs everywhere. Only Paper Moon. At 3:10 a.m., it's good to think about vastness. The early morning sky, lovers marveling at the moon, astronomers viewing the Big Dipper, Mars, and Venus. Maybe I should take up stargazing. Or I could party instead. When the bars close, happy revelers weave their way back to cars and train stations, express camaraderie, laugh with goodwill. Maybe I should take up drinking. After all, it's Saturday night. Did you know that Sonoma County buses don't run past midnight on weekends? In fact, the local number 10 in Roanoke Park makes its last pickup in late afternoon. Maybe I could take a long moonlight walk. I wish I weren't so hungry. I could cook something this minute despite the late hour. Have you ever made apple Betty? You core, peel, and cut several large green apples, enough to fill a 9 by 11 baking dish. Then you sprinkle cinnamon, brown sugar, and breadcrumbs on top and bake for about 25 minutes. Crisp and delicious. But cooking means getting up. I've been tossing around for hours, twisting the sheets beneath this quilt. When I turn on the lamp, I spot my elderly dog next to the bed. Though his eyes remain closed, he groans and moves his paws as though running. Do dogs dream? Maybe I should curl up beside him. I could comfort him. I realized my problem. I forgot to pay the PG&E bill, to make a phone call, to buy birthday cards. Also, I never finished the recent crossword puzzle. What is a 4-letter word for pillow cover? A 7-letter word for hideaway. Do you remember the time we stayed up all night singing? We played a game, tried to think of every song that contained the word moon. It's only a paper moon. Moon River. Moon over Miami. Bad moon rising. Even with no musical training, you could sing those melodies so sweetly. Maybe I should have stayed around to hear your lyric tenor. You used to get up at noon and go to bed by 3 or 4 a.m. Me, I would go to sleep at 10 or 10:30 p.m. each night, arise promptly by 8 at the latest. That is, unless you wanted to make love at 2 a.m. and woke me. I never felt that amorous those last few weeks before our separation. Yet now I pat your side of the bed and picture you there. Did you know that Jack London slept in a separate room from his wife, Charmian? Both were insomniacs. During the wee hours, he smoked and wrote, but she tried to sleep. Supposedly, they were the most compatible of couples in other ways. Enough. I should consider meditation. Count to 6, repeat a mantra, clear my mind. Listen to my breath. Really listen. Breathe in and out. In and out. Or try yoga poses. The downward dog and the triangle come to mind. Remember those yoga classes? What are you thinking about right now? Maybe I will call you. It's only 3:15 a.m. I'm sure you'll be awake.
It's Venus Maher, and in the beginning is an early chapter from my book in progress called Lightweaver, about the Chandra who live in trees and are drawn by the purple thread of compassion to fly through time to humans who need them. In the beginning, long ago and not so far away, a small band of humans wandered through the northern mountains. They followed the ripening times of acorns, pine nuts, berries, and roots. They sang to the spirit of the deer and the wild turkey they hunted. Life wasn't easy, though abundant in the good times. Their good seasons, their food stores diminished to little but acorn gruel by the end of the longest winters. Then came the frozen times, the floods and the ice. The band of wanderers retreated until they found themselves isolated in a high valley, surrounded by advancing glaciers. Even if they could discover a way across the Blue Death, unseasonal storms threatened any unprotected nomads. The treacherous climb up the ice was impossible for the children and the elders. Desperate, the strongest among them set out looking for food, scaling the ice walls, braving the crevasses. At first, those who were left in the valley waited. Each day they watched, waiting for the explorers to return. But as time passed with no sign of their loved ones, hope evaporated. The storms raged almost daily during that worst winter in memory. It seemed as if nothing could survive away from the caves they now called home. The fury of the ice gods seemed to have swallowed their kinsmen. Those who huddled by the fires in the caves were hungry, and young and old alike were dying too soon. As that fierce winter turned to desolate spring, only Rena the elder, 6 other adults and 5 children remained. The grown ones tried to keep the children's spirits up with games and songs, their words tender with longing. Rena, the elder, watched as one of the mothers named Mara rocked her little boy, Tono, who was growing listless with hunger. Rena and the others gathered the few roots, herbs, and leaves they could find, but the soups and teas were meager. Not only Tono, but all of those who remained in the valley were growing weak without adequate food. Soon the roots were gone and the trees stripped bare. Though the storms abated, with the advent of spring, the sun was thin and brought little warmth. They faced death as a people. There were no more games and no more songs. The children were unnaturally quiet. They didn't play or even whimper. The adults sat without a sound, almost as if they were listening to death approaching. All except Rena. She didn't fear dying herself, but the children must have a future. She sat among them, but her silence was different. Her stillness had an expectant quality. She opened to her dreams. She prayed. She looked out at the gathering storm clouds and began to sing. At first, she sang alone. Then little Tono began to hum along, cradled in his mother's arms. Mara stirred. Looking from Rena to her child, she added her voice to the growing melody. Her weak harmony was strengthened by the others as one by one they joined in, swelling the song until it matched the thunder's force. The storm passed, but the song continued. The melody contained the raw energy and power of their world. The raucous cry of the raven, the pounding of the great falls, the urgent cry of the eagle, the wind's lament through the barren forest, the spirit names of all who had died, the rhythmic pattern of generations of melodies sung by firelight. It was the sum total of a people distilled into one incredible song without end. The survivors sang through the hours of light and into the darkness, feeding both the fire they sat beside and the intricate melodic rhythms. They sang through 2 days and 2 nights. Their bodies were thin, almost translucent, but somehow not so weak now. They kept singing as they made and drank tea of turquoise glacier milk, enlivened with the last of the herbs. They rocked their children and they sang. Within the crucible of the song's creative medium, something mysterious began to happen. They felt a change occurring in their very cells. It tickled, it burned. The song vibrated deep, stretched long, and oscillated at the level of their DNA. They kept singing. Early on the 3rd morning, as the song completed its transformative magic, Rena grew talons, stretched wings, snapped her newly shifted beak, and set out to hunt. Thank you. And next we'll hear from Susanna Solomon, reading The Light from the Window on page 168.
This is for my daughter. Can you see any sign of the trail, my daughter Alyssa asked. No, I replied. I couldn't remember the last time we were on it. 5 minutes ago, maybe? All I could see was thick snow both ahead and behind me and no sign of the path. I could barely make out my 22-year-old daughter 10 feet away. It wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this at all. We had embarked on what the guide back in the valley had said was an easy overnight trip to a mountain hut, and now we're in deep snow on the side of a mountain, in a blizzard, under growing darkness. It was early September. We were completely alone, 5,000 feet above the town of Kandersteg, Switzerland, and no one knew where we were. In order to reduce weight, we'd left both flashlights and my gloves back at the hotel. Now my hands were freezing. I couldn't make out any depression which would show where the trail was. How long since you were sure we were on it, I asked. A while, Mom. The hut was supposed to be a 45-minute walk from the bottom of the cliff. Alyssa and I had been hiking up a series of narrow switchbacks for well over an hour. There was no sign of the trail now or the top of the cliff. I scanned the snow ahead. Okay then, I answered. Let's turn back and retrace our steps. We'll find it. We backtracked through the deep snow. Anything? She asked. Not yet. I scanned the snow above, below, and across the hill and kept moving. After we'd been hiking for a few hours in a rising mist, we'd stopped at a hotel for cocoa. Later, when we'd seen sheep covered in snow, we'd taken shelter in a second hotel. The staff refused to let us stay and sent us out into a full-blown blizzard. Now we had no choice but to keep moving and find the hut. "Mom," Lissa cried, "I can't even see where we've been." The silent, sweet little creek that had meandered around the valley floor was now thundering 100 feet below. The hillside was as smooth and featureless as a freshly made bed. With my bare hands shoved in the snow for balance, I focused on the slightest depression I'd seen and scanned the length of it. A faint path led up and off and away, smooth and open and flat, as clear and sharp as 5-lane Highway 101 back home. "Up here," I shouted. Liz reached me, out of breath. "Go ahead," I said. She took off and I followed a few steps behind. We rounded another set of switchbacks. Now we were above the creek on a foot-wide rocky ledge. "Just a sec," Liz's voice caught. "Not now," I answered. "Something different." "We gotta get a move on," I said. "There are cables ahead, Mom." "What?" I stopped, hesitated. "Cables? Not so bad. Come on." I walked up around a ledge, and between her and me, a trail only 4 inches wide, and then air. "Hi, Mom," she said cheerfully, and waved her red mitten a beacon in the waning light. On the other side of an impossible stretch of trail. "You can do it." I swallowed. Under my feet were little knobs of rock no bigger than my thumb. "See the cable, Mom, on your left?" I stared at her. I turned and saw eyeball high a metal cable, cold and hard and stretched over the gap. One end of it was bolted into the rock, the other disappeared toward her. Liz held out one red mitten. I stared at the rock in front of my nose, pressed my gut toward the cliff, and focused on her face, wrapped my frozen fingers around cold metal, and stepped out onto a knob. 4 feet of air hung where the trail should have been. I took one step, two, slid my hands behind the cable, and grabbed tight. I slid my right hand over, shifted my weight, and landed both feet onto solid ground. Liz moved ahead and became a dark, fuzzy shadow. I picked up my pace to catch her. The light was fading fast. I forced my legs forward. It took all I had to keep moving. They wouldn't obey. "I'm going to stop and rest," Lissa, I moaned. I wanted to go to sleep right here, right now. Thank you. I want to introduce Deborah Taylor-French reading Darkness in Big Sur.
Just imagine me at 20, completely clueless on my first camping trip with my new husband. Darkness in Big Sur. At the legendary Nepenthe Resort, jutting like a spear over the thrashing Pacific, a wealthy landowner invites us to see his ranch. We follow him up the mountain, look out of floor-to-ceiling windows at a distant ocean. I pick up our dog, Fox. Tom asks our host, "Do you have a shed or a room for rent?" "Sorry," the rancher says, walking through the hallway. I pause at a rifle case. Our host says, "I hunt wild boar." Tom's dark reddish eyebrows go up. "Really?" He grins skeptically. "Wild pigs?" "Yeah, sharp-tusked, aggressive beasts, pushing 400 pounds, some 500. Odd, I think, after spending hours discussing our host's protests against the Vietnam War, how he can so easily kill an animal. The rancher adds, rifles come in handy, keeping intruders off the ranch. Big Sur attracts robbers and worse. Expect to wait hours for a sheriff. With his index and middle finger, he forms the peace sign. Glad you came. Stay safe. Shrugging, Tom says, "No worries. We've got nothing worth stealing." For weeks, I hunt for a job. It's a hard thing to do with no shower, no place to live, and camping in the Redwood Duff. I talk to locals, buy eggs, jam, and live on French bread. Nothing. Fox naps under the giant sequoias while I escape into war and peace. Tom's working at the naval base. He's out from the war in Vietnam. I try to shake worry for our friends fighting that war, the one they don't believe in. After sundown, Tom and I sneak onto private ranches, packing only sleeping bags, Fox, and an alarm clock. We walk in silence deep into the redwoods. He has to get up at 3 a.m. He's a cook in the Navy. Watchful. I've never been an intruder before, and I'm not sure I like it. Tom's first week off, we go south through Carnivele Valley. Wild grass covering slopes sprout signs of high fire danger. Next morning, way down by Food and Water, we set off on a 3-day backpack into the Los Padres National Forest, my first backpack. Fox huffs excitedly. She's a little Pomeranian Chihuahua, and she's out in the dawn, very, very proud of herself being out in the wild. By voice command, I keep her behind Tom, who reports paw prints and animal scat. Deer, raccoons, then maybe skunk. August sun bakes the rocky hill crests. After lunch, we spare Fox from overheating by toting her. The narrow canyons multiply summer's heat. Hiking chaparral ridges of rattlesnake grass, sage, and blue lupine, our trail ends in a dusty spot. No one, not one table, not one person, not one toilet, no fire pit. A little wooden stake indicates, 3 wooden stakes indicate 3 tent sites, and a rusty metal sign warns, no campfires, $500 fine. Why would anyone want to camp here, I ask. Tom points at our map, showing no other campsites for miles. The only living thing in view is a solitary scrub oak tree growing out of the parched ground. The twisted and bent oak offers little shade. An unnatural quiet hovers as if all creatures avoid the very spot we have toiled all day to reach. Sunset barely lessens the 90-degree heat. We unroll our sleeping bags on a small tarp. No other hikers pass by or stop. Even in our thin cotton sleeping bags, we're too warm, and I'm very wakeful. Tom reads by flashlight as I slip finally into sleep from pure exhaustion. I'm not into this backpacking thing at all. After twilight, a huffing and snorting startles me. I shake Tom, whispering, "A horse? What's a horse doing here?" Fox shoots out of our sleeping bag, running into total darkness. "No way," Tom says, leaning over me and listening. He holds me tight. From grunts and heavy pawing, I sense a large animal about 50 yards away. I can't see a thing. We hold perfectly still and tense. Our tiny dog, 5 pounds, breaks into a volley of high-pitched barks, and we jump up yelling, "Fox, Fox, come!" And I think my heart is going to explode because I can't imagine my dog facing an animal the size of a pony. Before I can say Fox, I leap from our bags, and naked, I am scared witless and stand trembling. "Fox!" Tom shouts, "Fox, come!" He runs after her, but is too inky black to see where she's gone. He yells finally, "Got her!" Dressed, I stumble toward the only tree. My hands grip the bark of the scrub oak. I climb. Tom hands me Fox, then our day packs. He scrambles up too. The scrub oak divides about 5 feet up into 6 thick branches, offering just enough height from an animal, I hope, that can't climb. I straddle a broad limb, and Tom and I are speechless as the boar grunts running our way, the beast noisily digging between the roots of our tree. My eyes are wide open, but the animal remains invisible. But my dog has excellent eyesight. And I know, because I see Fox, her muzzle moving to the sounds I hear. Even after 20 minutes in the dark and my eyes have adjusted, I can't see the animal that rakes and rams the hard-packed earth. Tom offers, "Now we know why nobody camps here." There's actually more, so I hope you buy The Call of the Wild and you enjoy all our stories. I'd like to invite our last, but certainly not least, great Juanita Martin, who has her book, her poetry book, and she's been involved with Redwood Writers for a long time, taking a lot of different positions, historian, and she was CWC representative to the California organization, and she rocks, she sings, she raps, she runs all kinds of open mics, and she's very beloved.
Yes, here's the book. I have the book out. It's called The Lighthouse Beckons. It is a collection of poems.
Well, maybe you're doing great. Slow down and get closer to the mic.
Okay.
I'm moving it for you.
Okay. I'm so used to you tall people, so I have to,
I got
I gotta adjust. Okay. This is my newest flyer. It's The Lighthouse Beckons makes perfect Christmas gifts. In case you're looking for that unique gift, I have to do a little plug here because I'm, the last person, so I thought I'd just take a little shameless plug here. Forgive me for that, but I had to show these off because they look so good, don't they? Okay. Pick one up on your way out. I just have one poem, so this is going to go really fast. I'm going to slow it down, though, because I want to savor the reading, and I know that Gary's taping, and he's probably going to edit a whole lot of stuff out that I'm talking about. My piece is called Wildflowers. A flower grows, independent, alone, on grassy knolls by the lake. No one to care, no one to cultivate, no one to take it from the ground. A child grows, independent, alone, near seedy flats by the river. No one to care, no one to motivate, no one to take her from the streets. Two wildflowers, their raw nature does not associate. Two lives full of promise, full of beauty. Carefree seeds once strewn, their fate undecided. Ripened souls tossed by winds of desperation, harvested for another's pleasure, left to become wilted fodder in the field of restless spirits. Thank you. Told you that would be fast.
So we wrapped up the evening with plenty of time to buy the book and get authors to autograph their stories if you're so inclined. Thank you again for being here. So watch for the fourth Tuesday of the month we'll be going back to where we'll have 5 chosen readers for the evening who have books out. And you guys all have happy holidays, and thanks again.
Thank you, Mona.